Hello, BookTube. I just saw the hour and realized I hadn't made a mail haul yet today. Sorry about that. So I have a small one here. It's 6 or 7 packages, good enough to get us through. And so I thought we'd get to it right away. But first. All right, so the first package is this. I have a strong suspicion it's not a book. I think I can probably guess what it is because it's from Wired magazine. And at the same time that I was responding to a great deal for Architectural Digest to subscribe, I also did the same thing with Wired, and they give you a free gift. Okay, this is some sort of machine. So it's called a power bank. It's got a keychain and everything, but no paperwork. Okay, well, you tell me, BookTube. Here's my guess. My guess is that that this is a portable battery, and that if I charge it to full, I can then plug it into an electronic device on the go and charge it that way without needing an outlet. Is that right, or is that am I confusing that with Star Trek? Well, that'd be my guess. I'll have to test it out and see. Wired can't send you a calendar. I guess I got to be tech. All right, we'll move on. The next one, all the rest of them, I'm pretty sure are books. What have we here? A historical novel to start us off. This is Golden Hill by Francis Spuford. Spuford? It is, it won the Custo Award for First Novel, and it's a historical novel about New York, a small town on the tip of Manhattan Island in 1746. One rainy evening in November, a handsome young stranger, fresh off the boat, arrives at a counting house door on Golden Hill Street. This is Mr. Smith, amiable, charming, yet strangely determined to keep suspicions simmering. For in his pocket he has what seems to be an order for £1,000, a huge sum, and he won't explain why or where he comes from or what he's planning to do in the colonies that requires so much money. Should the New York merchants trust him? Should they risk their credit and refuse to play? Should they befriend him, seduce him, arrest him, maybe even kill him? And this is Francis Spuford's first novel. Interesting. Okay, so historical novel about old New York. That's good. Oh, this is a box, isn't it? I should save this for last. Let's save it for last. Let's move on. We'll save the box for last. Skinny box, but still. Let's see. All right, next one's a novel. It sounded charming to me. It comes out in July, and it is. Let's see. Do we have a blurbs? Because the author is Lynn Freed. The novel is The Last Laugh. And of course, it's the famous island of Santorini on the cover. The pouch sheet is entirely blurbs. But let's see. There'll be a description in here somewhere. I'd like to read you the description because it sounds like a hoot. Since their children left home, Ruth, Dania, and Bess have grown used to living wonderfully free lives. Only now they're beset by children again, this time their grandchildren. In order to escape, they decide to run away to Greece together for a year. At first, settled on a glorious island, barefoot and contented, they think they've rediscovered the wheel, but then things begin to go awry. Dionysus, the local poet, takes up with Bess, at least until his wife gets wind of things. Dania, a therapist, is being stalked by one of her patients, and Ruth's ex-lover turns up out of the blue, closely followed by a man who lost Bess her fortune. It doesn't help when the children and grandchildren also start turning up whenever they feel like it. As Bess writes in one of Ruth's weekly Granny A Go-Go columns, this is not an enchanted April sort of year. It'll be half an hour to read, and then we'll see. All right, so let's Let's move on here. Oh, okay. All right. This is the finished copy of a book we've seen on this channel before, I believe. This comes out in mid-April, and it is by Isabel Sharman, and it's called The Zoo. It's a history of the founding of the London Zoo. The finished copy might have photos. My advanced copy had none. No, the book itself has none. Isn't that a strange decision for a book about the founding of the zoo? And Isabel Sharman is an award-winning television producer. She spent the last decade working in factual documentary. As a writer, only in the 21st century do we need to add that adjective. Just to be sure, she was working on factual documentaries. For the zoo, she has made unprecedented use of the vast archives of the Zoological Society of London. Okay, I did not have it in me to read the advance copy. I hate zoos. I hate them now when they're relatively benignly done, most of them in the West anyway. I certainly hate them in the past. I guess on the possibility that she's written it really well, I sort of have to read it. I confess I'm not looking forward to it, but I will rectify that by mid-April. I don't know that I don't know that I quite have the resolve to go rushing to read it. But I guess, I mean, if she did a really good job, then then I have to read it on the chance that she did. What a mess. Maybe her next book she won't pick a similar subject. And who knows, maybe in this book she recognizes what the subject is, how horrible the subject is. I hope. But anyway. Oh, very nice. Oh, very, very nice. Okay, this comes out in late June. It's from Farrar, Straus and Giroux, and it's a new collected poems of Marianne Moore. Interesting. Okay, and the editors is Heather Cass White, who received her PhD and MA from Cornell, and teaches English at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa. And let's see here, the landmark oeuvre of Marianne Moore, one of the major inventors of poetic modernism, has proved difficult to present entire. Until now, there has been no good vantage point from which to see the body of her remarkable work as a whole. Throughout her life, Moore arranged and rearranged, visited and revisited a large majority of her existing poetry, interspersing new work among old and continually revising even her best-known poems. As a result, sorting out the complex textual history that Moore left behind is a pressing task if we mean to represent the complex picture of her work as a poet. The new collected poems undertakes that work, providing a newly accurate portrait of Moore's skillful and singular voice. It is only in the new collected poems that we can read Moore's work as Williams and many other illustrious admirers knew it. How do you figure? I guess we'll find out, right? Yeah, okay, because a gigantic chunk of the book is the editor's notes to explain why these poems fix the textual problem, the textual mess that she left behind. I don't know how you could do that, thinking about it off the top of my head, but we'll see. And then we've got this thing. This is not from a publisher. This is from a friend who I suspect I know what this is. Found a copy of it and sent it to me. It's still an advanced copy. It still fits in our little... Oh, yes, indeed. It's The Duke's Children by Anthony Trollope. This is going to be a new Everyman's Library edition. This comes out in... when does this come out? April. It comes out in early April. It was originally done by the Folio Society in a very limited edition, very expensive. And the reason why it's the last of the Palliser novels, and it's also my favorite Anthony Trollope novel of them all. And the reason why it's so interesting, I don't know if I've mentioned this on his channel before, is that Trollope originally wrote the thing for magazine serialization, and at the time that he wrote it, his asking price was dipping, and public enthusiasm for the new Trollope was dimming, finally starting to dim. And so he wrote the thing as a vast work and handed it in and was told to cut it by a vast amount by the length of a whole book, by 40,000 words. And he didn't just take chapters out. He went through it sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, and winnowed at lightning speed. He got the amount of words cut out of it that he needed, but it's hard to tell where. And this is the restored edition of The Duke's Children, which, as far as I know, has never been done before. So it's remarkable right there. And I know I know this novel well enough so that when I am reading it, I will be able to tell what's new. I'll certainly be able to tell, sentences and 2 and 3 paragraphs at a time of Trollope that I have not read before. That I mean, especially right in the middle of my favorite Trollope novel, the one that I know backwards and forwards. I know it even better than The Way We Live Now. I just think it's amazing that this is one of the reasons that I love my job. It's one of the reasons that I love books, just the world of publishing, is that there's something new. Oh, look at that, 2 in a row. The Marianne Moore and The Duke's Children. These are things that have been around forever, and someone has gone back, and done something genuinely interesting, something genuinely enthusiastic about the whole thing, and given it to you new, given you these older things that you know, given them to you in a new incarnation, something new to think about and explore. I love it. I just love it. And I also got in the same package this thing, Out in the Open, a novel by Jesus Carrasco, who was born in Spain and now lives in Edinburgh. This novel is his debut, and it was a huge bestseller in Spain. Is that true? Those of you in Spain? Is that true? Was he a big bestseller? This book has been published in more than 21 countries and is the winner of many international awards. So of course I wanna read it. It's a Syrian dystopian vision of a boy's flight through an unnamed, savaged country, searching for sanctuary and redemption, by one of Europe's best-selling literary stars. So this will be his American debut, and it comes out in July. And it's in the same package as The Duke's Children, but nothing calls to me more than this. Nothing does at all, because this is the end of the Palliser series. The rumor is that Trollope might have been thinking about writing another book in the Palliser series, but as it is, this ends it, and it's amazing. It shouldn't work. The main plot line shouldn't work, even in Trollope's day. It shouldn't work. It concerns Plantagenet Palliser, this stiff, old world, old school, professional British politician, and the Duke of Omnium, so immensely wealthy, and he has been prime minister. He has married money. He married a very vivacious woman named Glencora, and it wasn't a love match. But over the course of novels, they grow to kind of, sort of love each other, and then to deeply love each other. And it's an amazing thing. Most of it happens off stage. And this is of course, I think I've mentioned it on this channel before. This is the novel that starts with an absolute gut punch of a sentence. If you were reading them along in order without knowing what was coming, the first sentence of the book is, "No one probably ever felt himself to be more alone in the world than our old friend the Duke of Omnium when the Duchess died." She's in full glory at the end of the novel before this. And when this novel opens, she's dead. She dies in between the books. But without her around to make trouble and then to fix the problems that she makes, the Duke's daughter has fallen in love with a man who is unsuitable. He's not of her station in life. He's a perfectly honorable man, But the Duke objects to him. He has not a penny to his name. He would be relying on a handout from the Duke. He would be relying on his wife's money, and therefore, the Duke at first thinks the liaison absolutely is impossible. The man is an adventurer, and he sets his will against it. His daughter says, if you command me, I won't see him. If you command me, I won't speak of him. If you command me, I won't visit him. But I love him, and I'm going to marry him, or I'm not going to marry anyone. And he sets his will against hers, and you know from the beginning of the book how it's going to end. This is the amazing thing about Trollope. You know from the beginning how it's going to end. And unlike other Trollope novels where there's a love match and you're not sure, but you're pretty sure how it's going to end, in other novels of Trollope's where that happens, he can still surprise you because he's not invested in any of the characters. He's made them up in that book. So one of them could die in a fox hunt, one of them could go to prison, one of them could commit suicide, and in the last of the Palliser novels, you know that's not true. You know that nothing catastrophic is going to happen to the Duke of Omnium, and you know that nothing's going to happen to his daughter. And you know from reading Trollope that he's not going to kill a man he's called worthy. So from Frank Tregear, the man that she falls in love with is not going to die suddenly and get out of the picture. And if he did, Trollope would still not have her change her mind. She still wouldn't then end up marrying some watery nobleman. So right from the beginning, you know what's going to happen. You know who's going to win the Battle of Wills, and yet, it's so good. But anyway, you don't hear me talk about Trollope. Let's go. We'll finish up. We're at the box now. Thin box, so probably only one book. What have we here? What is in here? Well, it's from Oxford. That's good. Oxford is always good. Okay, great. This is called The Future of the Professions. And the subtitle is How Technology Will Transform the Work of Human Experts. Which kind of ties in with a book we saw before on the death of expertise. Because if you've got... well, let's see here. This comes out in... on March the 2nd. All right, great. Let's see here. Based on in-depth study of 8 professions, the book sets out 2 futures for doctors, lawyers, accountants, teachers, and more. One is reassuringly familiar, the more efficient version of what we have today. The second is transformational, a gradual replacement of professionals by increasingly capable systems. For students and professional businesses, the choice in the 2020s is the same. Either compete with machines or build the machines. For schools and universities, the call is to focus on producing 21st century and not 20th century graduates, and to stop teaching students to undertake tasks for which machines are now better suited. This is getting more interesting by the minute. For the UK government, the message is clear. During an era of unprecedented technological change, although submerged in executing Brexit, for Britain to prosper, it must also be sufficiently concentrated on innovation, on overhauling the way it educates and trains its people for new roles, and on investing in the next wave of transformative technologies. Okay, so the professions are accountants, lawyers, journalists, teachers, doctors, architects, management consultants, and the clergy. And it looks like it's gonna concentrate on the UK, where it, I guess, has already appeared. It's got a ton of blurbs from UK publications. How technology is going to change those professions. Journalism, it won't change at all, right? The fundamentals of journalism, it won't change at all. People will still lie and need to be uncovered in their lies. You'll be able to catch them with more technology, but you'll still have to suspect them, and you'll still have to make a case. Journalism, it seems to me, is based entirely on things that only humans can do. Machines can't duplicate them. But some of these others, I mean, doctors, it's not House MD. It's like we were mentioning before with the death of expertise. People self-diagnose in huge numbers now with some fairly advanced systems, professionally vetted systems online. I don't know. I don't know. I could easily foresee a day when your surgery would be conducted by an AI and wouldn't leave instruments inside you or peppermint patties or whatever. Uh, it's just I've known so many cases. I used to spend a great deal of time at Massachusetts General Hospital here in Boston. And I could tell you horror stories about the things that human surgeons do. A machine wouldn't do them. But some of these others, I mean, accountants obviously are vulnerable. Obviously they are. But lawyers, I mean, litigation is vulnerable, but lawyers actually taking your case to court. But I guess that doesn't happen much anymore, does it? Litigation has largely taken over for trials. Uh, hmm. Yeah, well, that's a perfect example of the quality of the pub sheet. It's got me thinking about the book before I've even opened it. And that's great. All right. So what a varied haul. that's rather nice. So we've got the zoo, history of the London Zoo. We've got the future of the professions. We've got Golden Hill, a historical novel about old New York. We have The Last Laugh, sort of a geriatric Enchanted April. We have the new collected poems of Marianne Moore. We have Out in the Open by Jesus Carrasco. And we have The Duke's Children, restored after 100 years. And that's our late in the day mail haul. Sorry for the delay there. Let's see if we can get the little baby to say goodbye. Oh. Ooh. There you go. Thank you, BookTube.